What you see up here is a generic car loan example. It's not unlike something that happened to a member of my extended family recently. Lee agrees to purchase a $15,000 used SUV and finances it with a 7-year loan that charges 6.9% interest compounded monthly. Now, first I want to talk about why would Lee agree to wait 7 years to pay off this vehicle? Well, Lee really wanted this particular vehicle. It was on a used car lot with a $15,000 sticker on it. Lee works part-time. Lee can't afford huge monthly payments. And Lee also does not have a solid credit history. That car is not going to be worth $15,000 in 7 years. Not even close. Lee's making a choice about now. And that's fine. We all make choices about what we need right now in order to survive, to get to work, to get to school, to take our kids to school, whatever it is. We have to make choices. And sometimes the choices that we make now may not be the most beneficial choices for us in the future. We make decisions now that help us now. And as informed consumers, we can pay attention to how they will impact us in the future. Lee's never bought a vehicle before. And Lee's like, let's do this. Now I'm going to use my fancy little app on my phone. You'll get to watch me do this in real time as I attempt to access all the pieces that I need to answer these 3 questions. What are Lee's monthly payments going to be over those 7 years? Right, let's think about the variables that we've been using all along. How many periods are there in a year? Interest is compounded monthly. There are 12 periods in a year. How many years is Lee going to be paying, supposedly, for this vehicle? 7. Annual interest rate, 6.9%. All right, present value. Yeah, okay. It may feel like Lee is not getting $15,000, but Lee is getting $15,000. $15,000 is coming to Lee when Lee signs a piece of paper. So I'm putting that in here as a positive. Now, yes, Lee turned around and signed somewhere else on that same document saying now that $15,000 goes towards that truck and I get to drive that truck off the parking lot. But the $15,000 came to him. And then the dealership gave him a truck to drive away. Now, what do we want the future value of this loan to be? With most loans, our goal is to pay them off, to owe nothing. In the future, we would like to owe nothing. So future value on a loan that we're going to pay off should be 0. I want to answer the first question. What is the monthly payment? $224.37. Now that showed up on my handy dandy little app as a negative. Why? Because that money needs to go away from Lee every month. $224.37. Now it was actually $224.36752. I rounded to the nearest cent. That's what Lee's got to pay every month. Now, in this hypothetical Lee, who is not a member of my extended family, it's like, I'm making $600 a month in my part-time job. I can afford that. I can do that. I can pay that. Well, how much is Lee going to be paying for that $15,000 used SUV in the end. Every month, Lee pays $224.37. And how many times does Lee make that payment? He makes it every month, so 12 times a year, for 7 years. He makes 84 payments of $224.37 because 12 times 7 is 84. And in the end, he's paying $18,847.08. $18,847 and 8 cents for the car, for the SUV. It's $3,000, almost $4,000 more than what that truck was worth 7 years ago when Lee purchased it. And I can guarantee you that the value of that truck in 7 years will be more like $2,000, not $18,000. So how much interest was Lee charged? Well, the original amount was $15,000. So like I said, it's almost $4,000 in interest. $224.37 a month, 12 times a year for 7 years. So I took the $224.37, multiplied it by 12, multiplied it by 7, so technically multiplied it by 84. And this is the amount of interest that will be paid in total for that truck. And probably in 7 years, the truck won't even be worth the interest that Lee paid. As long as we as consumers are paying close attention to what it means to us in the long term, then those short-term, near-term decisions that we have to make can be done with knowledge, with planning, with an understanding of what's going to happen to us in the future, an understanding of what we're going to need later while taking care of our needs now. Now we're going to look at Lee again. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to change some numbers here and show you another option that Lee could have. Lee needs a vehicle, needs a car to get back and forth to work. Now Lee has decided that this SUV is the one, without paying attention to all of the things that go into owning an SUV, like gas and maintenance. But Lee is a high risk, and it is possible, if not likely, that the car lot, the used car lot, you know, the ones that sit on the corners in your town, looks at him and says, yeah, dude, we got a deal for you. Notice that my interest rate went up because I've made Lee a higher risk now, but the length of the loan is longer because they really are concerned that Lee is going to not pay back the money. So the interest rate went up because they want more of their money coming in early, but the time for the loan has been extended so that Lee's payments don't feel so bad to Lee. The interest rate went up, but the time was extended. So now let's see what happens to Lee's monthly payments. All right, 8 years of 12 payments per year for 8 years. That's 96 payments. Don't forget that. 96 payments. Interest rate is now 7.9%. Still a present value of $15,000 coming to Lee that he then gives away for this SUV. We want to pay it off in the future. Oh my gosh, this is so much a better deal for Lee. Lee looks at this and says, I can handle this. I can handle this. I can make these payments. I can make payments of $209.91. Now, on my calculator, on my little app here, it was 0.906, which I rounded up to 0.91. Payments are lower. Lee's like, that's a better deal. I'm paying less every month. Lee is indeed paying less every month, but Lee is paying that monthly payment for a longer period of time. What is the total amount that Lee ends up paying for this vehicle under this new scheme? So $209.91, 12 times a year for 8 years, so 96 payments. $20,000, I just almost fell, $151.36. And I can definitely guarantee you that a used SUV that right now is on a car lot for 15 grand is definitely not going to be worth 20 grand in 8 years. Lee feels better with this deal because the payments are lower. That's an extra $20 a month for gas as opposed to the other scheme, right? Yeah, I can handle that. I can do that. That's better. I'll save some money. No. Lee's not saving money. Lee is actually, if Lee keeps the truck for the full period of time and beyond, Lee is paying a lot more for this truck. Remember, it was worth $15,000 according to the car lot. And now the total amount of interest that Lee has paid for that vehicle after 8 years is over $5,000. He's paid more. A lot more than what it was worth. In fact, about a third more than it was worth. But you know what? It's okay. If Lee can handle these payments and fully understands the commitment that is being made to this long-term amount of money coming out of his pocket over a longer period of time at a higher interest rate, if Lee fully understands that, $209 is not bad. It's about $210. It's not bad for a monthly car payment. So it might be a good decision for Lee for right now. And as long as Lee is conscientious, well-informed, and fully understands that this new strategy is going to be costing him more in the long run, then making this decision now may be better for him than making the other decision that was offered. Now I'm going to pause the video one more time and do one more demo with the same SUV. Lee is being offered a shorter term loan with a lower interest rate. The interest rate went down and the time to pay also went down. because that car lot looked at Lee's credit report and credit rating and FICO score, and whatever else it was going to look at, and said, Lee will pay this money back. We will get our money from Lee. Lee is a good risk. And so they're offering him a shorter term at a lower interest rate. Now, what is that going to do for Lee? It is going to make his payments go up every month. What are those monthly payments going to be now? Well, there's only, again, 12 periods per year, but just 3 years, so 36 payments. So you know those payments are going to go up. They're going to be higher. The interest rate went down, though. And the reason why the interest rate went down is the car lot is convinced that Lee is going to pay that money every month. They are convinced. Monthly payments. $447.06. It's double the other two payments. More than double one of them under the other options. If Lee can afford this, will it be to Lee's advantage in the long term? Short term, definitely not advantageous. Long term, maybe so. So $447.06. How many times would he be making payments? 12 payments per year, 3 times a year. That's 36 payments. Now look at the long-term total amount paid. $16,094.16. In terms of what Lee ends up paying, the future is a little bit brighter for Lee. Not as long of a commitment to making monthly payments, though with that comes a higher monthly payment. But in the end, the total amount paid is much less than it was under the other two schemes I showed you. Because, hey, looky what happens when I think about how much total interest was charged. $1,094.16. That's the total amount of interest that Lee is charged over that period of time. We will be looking at how each monthly payment applies, but I'm going to save that for when we talk about home mortgages and our dream house project.